Welcome to a deep dive on the Scaling Legends podcast. I'm Justine.
And I'm Nicole.
There is a $1.17 billion rail project being built in Angola right now, 260 kilometers, 11 bridges, 8 stations, 2,000 construction jobs. And it is being financed by the United States government as a direct counter to China's Belt and Road Initiative. The Lobito Corridor is America's answer to Chinese infrastructure dominance in Africa, and it is creating construction opportunities that most American contractors have never heard of. Today we explain what it is and why you should be paying attention.
Right. So today we are really just dissecting the source material behind this massive geopolitical infrastructure play.
Yeah.
Because the goal here for you, the listener, is to understand the physical reality of the project, right? And the global strategy driving the funding.
Exactly.
And critically, like the actual mechanics of how U.S. construction firms can capitalize on it.
Yeah. And before we really get into the dirt of it, I want to mention that the source of our market intelligence today, this whole deep dive, is brought to you by Smart Business Automator.
Which is an amazing tool.
It really is. It's an AI platform designed to help construction companies scale without, just drowning in administrative work. We'll talk more about how they fit into this kind of international work a bit later.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the physical project, Nicole. The specs map out 260 kilometers of brand new rail.
Right.
And it's connecting Luena to Saurimo in Angola.
Yeah, and grounding this in reality, groundbreaking is slated for January 2026.
Which is coming up fast. And I mean, this isn't laying track on a flat, empty plain in Kansas,
No, definitely not.
We're talking about 11 major bridges and 8 full stations.
The engineering constraints alone are just staggering.
Yeah.
And when you look at the consortium that was actually awarded this project, it's really interesting. It's a joint venture between Odebrecht.
The massive Brazilian conglomerate.
Exactly, yeah. Odebrecht. And then Bento Pedroso from Portugal.
Which, tells you a whole lot about the realities of international construction.
It really does.
Like, a U.S. firm or a Chinese firm didn't win the primary earth-moving contract here.
Right.
A Brazilian and a Portuguese firm did. And why? Well, because Angola is a Portuguese-speaking nation.
Yeah, it comes down to language, legal structure, historical alignment, all of that.
Makes perfect sense.
Right. Like, Portuguese civil law heavily influences Angolan civil code.
Oh, interest.
So when you are trying to manage, 2,000 local construction jobs across 260 kilometers of really rugged terrain.
Yeah, that's huge.
Cultural and linguistic friction can literally delay a project by years.
Just getting lost in translation.
Exactly. The prime contractors, they have to be able to navigate the local labor laws, the municipal permits, the daily communication without relying on just, an army of translators.
Right. But even with that linguistic advantage, Nicole, I was reading through the site prep notes in our sources.
Oh, the site prep.
And I hit a detail that absolutely floored me.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Before they could even begin mapping the final grade for the rail, they had to clear the landmines.
Yeah. It's a grim reality of working in the specific region.
I mean, Angola went through a brutal civil war that lasted for decades, right?
Right.
Leaving the ground just saturated with unexploded ordnance. And the landmine clearance had to be completely finished before the project could even secure its final, construction green light.
Which is a massive undertaking.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that just from a project management standpoint. If the ground is literally full of explosives,
yeah,
how does a Brazilian company even secure underwriting or equipment insurance to start the survey?
Well, honestly, they don't initially.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's the mechanism of international infrastructure that often gets overlooked.
Huh.
The site prep in a post-conflict zone isn't just sending in a few excavators to clear brush.
No, of course not.
It involves contracting highly specialized explosive remediation firms, right? Often backed by international aid or military-grade logistics, just to sweep 260 kilometers of earth.
Because you cannot get a commercial underwriter to insure a multi-million-dollar bridge crane if there's a statistical probability it's going to roll over an anti-tank mine.
Exactly. You just can't.
The source material draws a really poignant parallel here, actually.
Oh, about the rebuilding.
Yeah. It compares the rebuilding efforts in post-war Angola to the recovery after the 2018 Camp Fire in California.
Right. And that analogy holds up surprisingly well when you look at the mechanics of rebuilding.
It really does.
Right.
I mean, whether you are dealing with toxic ash, melted municipal pipes, and compromised foundations in California,
yeah,
or literal artillery shells buried in the soil in Angola.
The sheer resilience required from the ground crews is just the same.
Exactly. You have to clear profound life or death hazards before you can even think about pouring a single cubic yard of concrete.
Right.
It kind of redefines what we consider tough build here in the States.
Right.
You know?
It absolutely does, which forces us to look at the money, Justine.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the money.
Because if the logistics are this treacherous
Right.
and the environment requires this level of extreme preparation, you have to ask what kind of financial engine is powerful enough to push this through.
And who is actually writing the checks?
Exactly.
Because the total price tag is $1.17 billion.
A billion with a B.
Right.
Yeah.
But the catalyst, the money that actually makes this a reality is coming from Washington.
Yes.
The U.S. Development Finance Corporation, the DFC, is backing this with a $553 million loan.
Which is huge. Over $500 million from a U.S. federal entity.
Yeah.
And, the DFC isn't a charity.
No, definitely not.
They are a development bank, which means they mandate a strategic return on their investment.
Right.
And our sources outline this explicitly. The Lobito Corridor is designed as a U.S.-backed alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative in Africa.
Right. And for listeners who don't spend their weekends reading foreign policy white papers.
Which is probably most of them.
Yeah. China's Belt and Road Initiative is a massive, multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure strategy.
Massive.
For the last decade, China has been issuing loans to developing nations across Asia and Africa to build highways, railways, and ports.
Right. And the mechanism there is crucial to understand.
Okay, break it down.
Well, China builds the infrastructure to facilitate global trade, sure.
Yeah.
But they also use it to secure long-term supply chains.
Right.
Often taking 99-year leases on the ports if the local governments default on the loans.
Wow. So the U.S. has been watching this play out, realizing they are, losing the infrastructure war on the African continent.
Exactly.
And this $553 million loan from the DFC is basically the counter move.
It is.
But Nicole, I want to push on the actual return on investment here.
Okay, yeah.
Because the projections say this rail line will increase the local port capacity by 10 times, pushing it to 4.6 million metric tons.
Right, which is huge for them.
It's a massive win for Angola's agricultural exports, for sure. But playing devil's advocate here, is the U.S. government really dropping $500 million just to help Angola export more goods?
Good question.
Or is this purely a race to secure the materials needed to build electric vehicles and break Chinese supply chain dominance?
Well, you're hitting on the core tension of the whole project right there.
Right.
And the answer is that modern infrastructure is, it's inherently dual purpose.
Okay, meaning what?
Meaning, yes, a functional rail line fundamentally transforms transit for the local population.
Right, and it creates those 2,000 jobs we mentioned.
Exactly. But the geopolitical reality, the reason the DFC unlocked those specific funds is the geography at the end of the tracks.
Oh.
The Lobito Corridor connects the Atlantic Ocean directly to the Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia.
The critical mineral belt.
Precisely. Cobalt, copper, lithium.
Wow.
The DRC produces over 70% of the world's cobalt, Justine.
That's wild.
And Zambia is a historic powerhouse for copper.
Yeah.
Right now, getting those raw materials out of landlocked mines and onto a cargo ship is just a logistical nightmare.
Right, you're putting it on diesel trucks and driving it across thousands of miles of unpaved or heavily congested roads to ports in South Africa or Tanzania.
Where it sits in a bottleneck for weeks.
Exactly.
And those existing routes are often heavily influenced by competing global powers.
All right.
So by financing a brand new rail line that runs straight west to the Atlantic port of Lobito, the U.S. basically changes the fundamental math of the global supply chain.
You cut the transit time down to days.
Exactly. Whoever controls the logistics of getting lithium and cobalt out of the ground controls the future of electric vehicle manufacturing, smartphone production, and renewable energy grids in the West.
So the rails follow the lithium.
They absolutely do.
It's a massive chess match played with steel and concrete.
That's a great way to put it.
But, shifting gears to the actual execution of this.
Yeah, the day-to-day.
If you're a U.S. firm trying to evaluate an international opportunity like this, the paperwork alone is just paralyzing.
Oh, geopolitical compliance documents are not light reading.
No, they are thousands of pages of federal codes, environmental impact studies, international labor standards.
It's overwhelming.
You can't just hand a PDF to a project manager and expect them to, manually parse out the risk factors.
No, you'd go crazy.
Which is why you see construction firms adopting AI tools just to get to the starting line.
Right.
And Smart Business Automator, our sponsor, is a perfect example of this.
Yeah, their tools are built for exactly this kind of complexity.
Their document intelligence feature is built to instantly ingest these massive complex project documents and extract the actual actionable specs.
Which saves what? Weeks of time?
Oh, easily. And it uses custom AI workflows to route specific compliance requirements directly to your legal or bidding teams.
That's incredible.
It basically prevents mid-sized firms from being completely suffocated by the initial research phase.
And the research phase is where most firms tap out.
Exactly.
Which is a tragedy, really, because it brings us to the most important question for our listener today.
Okay, lay on me.
We know what the project is.
Yes.
And we know the geopolitical strategy driving the U.S. funding.
Critical minerals, yeah.
But how does a billion-dollar rail line in Africa affect a mid-sized commercial contractor sitting in, say, Texas or Ohio?
Right. I can hear the skepticism right now.
Oh, for sure.
I build commercial warehouses, Justine. I don't lay rail in Angola, and I certainly am not a Brazilian prime contractor.
Right. How is this an opportunity for me?
Exactly. How do they fit in?
Well, the entry point isn't laying the physical track.
Okay.
The entry point is the federal financing itself.
Right, the DSC money.
Exactly. When the U.S. Development Finance Corporation provides a $553 million loan, that money comes with stipulations and massive procurement channels that favor or outright mandate the inclusion of U.S. businesses.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that. If Odebrecht is the prime contractor, where does the U.S. firm actually step in?
Through specialized subcontracts, engineering consulting, project management, material supply.
Oh, got it.
The DFC maintains active procurement portals. When a project this size spins up, they need environmental engineering firms to monitor the compliance we just talked about.
Right.
They need software companies to integrate the transit systems. They need specialized structural engineers to consult on the bridge designs.
So a U.S. firm can bid on these massive international contracts through the DFC without ever having to actually open an office in Luanda.
Precisely. You participate in the ecosystem.
Wow. And we are not just talking about this one rail line either.
No, not at all.
The sources highlight a macro trend that is just impossible to ignore right now. International infrastructure is exploding.
It really is.
They cite a staggering $690 billion in hyperscaler spending right now.
Yeah, let's define that.
Okay.
Because hyperscaler sounds like a buzzword, but it's really the engine of modern construction.
Good point. Yeah. A hyperscaler is a massive technology company, like Amazon, AWS, Google, Microsoft, that builds data centers and cloud infrastructure at an unprecedented global scale.
Exactly.
They're spending $690 billion to build out the physical architecture of the internet and artificial intelligence.
And hyperscalers follow the power and the minerals.
Connecting it back.
Right. When a rail line like the Lobito Corridor opens up a region, it stabilizes the energy grid and the supply chain.
Yeah.
So suddenly, that region becomes viable for secondary infrastructure.
Like data centers.
Data centers, localized energy grids, advanced logistics hubs.
Wow.
The global demand for American construction management and specialized engineering is at an all-time high because these hyperscalers trust U.S. building standards.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You know, I look at the current mindset of the average U.S. contractor.
Yeah.
And honestly, Nicole, it feels a bit tragic.
How so?
Well, you have incredibly talented, hyper-competent builders fighting over crumbs at a crowded local municipal bidding table.
Oh, right. 10 firms undercutting each other's margins to build like a local overpass or a county rec center.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, there is an entire untouched pie sitting on the international DFC procurement table.
Just waiting for the firms who know how to navigate the portal.
Exactly. But the hesitation isn't a lack of building capability.
No, definitely not.
A firm that can build a complex hospital wing in Chicago absolutely has the technical chops to consult on international infrastructure.
100%. The barrier is entirely administrative. It's risk management.
It's the terror of the unknown, really.
Specifically, the terror of international compliance and budget variance.
Oh yeah, that'll keep you up at night.
When you bid on a domestic project, you understand the material costs.
Right.
But when you bid internationally, you are dealing with global supply chain shifts, tariffs, currency fluctuations.
It's a lot to track.
The administrative burden of tracking budget variances across multiple time zones usually scares mid-sized firms right out of the room.
Which makes perfect sense if you are trying to manage those variables on, like, a traditional spreadsheet.
Oh, it's impossible.
You're guaranteed to miss a currency shift that just wipes out your profit margin.
Yep.
And this is another area where a platform like Smart Business Automator completely changes the math for a growing firm.
Because it actively monitors those variables.
Right. It basically acts as an AI project assistant.
Which is huge.
They have this schedule risk detection feature that reviews ongoing project activity to identify delays before they cascade into penalties.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. But more importantly, for international work, their budget and variance insights automatically track cost movements.
So if something shifts globally.
Right. If a supply chain issue in the Atlantic is going to impact your material costs, the AI flags the variance immediately.
That's incredible.
You don't need a team of financial analysts working overnight to catch it.
And, the time zone issue is another massive hurdle in international work.
Oh, the time zones, yes.
Because construction runs on RFIs, right? Requests for information.
Always.
When a contractor hits a snag, they submit an RFI to the engineers or the architects.
And domestically, that's what, a quick phone call.
Exactly. But internationally, you might be dealing with a 6 or 8 hour time difference.
Oh, man.
So a simple question about a structural load can delay a crew for 2 full days while waiting for an email response.
And that's where Smart Business Automator's automated RFI assistant steps in.
Yes.
The AI uses the historical context of the project alongside the thousands of pages of documentation it already ingested.
Right.
To draft highly accurate RFI responses instantly.
It just cuts right through the administrative noise.
Completely. The project manager reviews the AI drafted response, hits approve, and the crew keeps moving.
That's game-changing.
It really is. It allows a mid-sized firm in the U.S. to handle the administrative weight of an international project without needing to hire a dozen new administrators.
Right.
So if you want to step away from the local municipal bidding wars and start competing globally, go to smartbusinessautomator.com.
Highly recommend it. And when you pull all of these threads together, Justine,
Yeah.
you start to see the actual shape of the industry over the next decade.
Yeah, you really do.
The Lobito Corridor isn't just an isolated rail line in Angola.
No.
It is a $1.17 billion shift in global trade routes.
It's massive.
It's a strategic maneuver by the U.S. government to break a bottleneck on the critical minerals that, power our entire technological future.
And for you, the listener, it's a massive flashing arrow pointing toward international procurement.
Exactly.
The U.S. government is actively funding these global projects.
Yeah.
And they want U.S. contractors involved.
They do. And I actually want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
Because the scale of what happens next is hard to fully grasp.
Yeah.
We discussed the 10x increase in port capacity.
Okay, right.
We discussed the 2,000 workers moving in to lay the track. But consider the ripple effect.
The secondary boom.
Exactly. If the Lobito Corridor succeeds, if you suddenly have millions of metric tons of lithium and cobalt flowing to the coast, and an influx of international hyperscaling investment following it, what secondary infrastructure boom is inevitable?
Because the rail line is just the artery.
Exactly.
You have to build the rest of the body.
You are going to need immense new housing developments for the permanent workforce.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You will need massive upgrades to the local energy grids to power the new commercial hubs.
Right.
You'll need localized water treatment facilities, transit networks, tech infrastructure.
It's endless.
The $1.17 billion rail line is really just the tip of the spear. The secondary construction boom that follows a successful geopolitical project like this, it will generate contracts for the next 30 years.
Look up DFC procurement opportunities. International construction is growing. Like, share, comment, subscribe.